Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for all your donations. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be writing you guys back personally. Give me a week and I'm gonna send you a little something to show my gratitude. So, my question of the day is, do you believe in science? Do you really believe in science? Like, I notice a lot of people use that word. I watch how people use their words and they say, I believe in science. So there's something wrong with that statement to me, because science is a methodology. It's not a religion. It's not an idea. It's not something that you believe in. But people say that they believe in science. And the more I find out about how corrupt science, the scientific institutions have become, I find that statement to be true, that it's not based on a methodology, it's based on belief. So I keep going on because my big thing is the tests. The tests are for the coronavirus are not stable. It can create false positives and false negatives. So what does that mean, right? It means that somebody else can have a cough or a fever and they get a coronavirus test and they get a false positive, right? And now they're quarantined, they maybe lost their job for 2 weeks or whatever, or lost income for 2 weeks. They're branded with a scarlet letter right now because of this whole fear panic that's been perpetuated by the media and other industries. Now you have this scarlet letter, and maybe, who knows, you might be able to be forced to take medication for it. You might be able to be forced to get vaccines for it. I'm not giving you medical advice. I always have to say this because there's some people in the comments that, are offended by my opinion, which is not medical advice, but I'm allowed to have an opinion and I'm allowed to use critical thought. Last time I checked, this was still a free country. So what I'm going to say, if I were in that position, I would not take the test. I wouldn't. Because it can give a false positive or false negative, and they're testing people now that don't have any symptoms. And then they're getting positives. You can even, I know there's reports on people that, got the test and then they tested positive and then they didn't have it. They're not sick. They didn't die, right? They're just things that you have to think about. I got into a debate with one of my friends and I was like, well, they haven't isolated it. He was like, yeah, I found something. Look, here they isolated it in Korea like last year. But then there's but then I found another report. I was saying that because I found a report that said they had just isolated it like last week. So how can they just isolate it in Korea and then another company says that they isolated it last week? Right? But before that, they claimed that they have a test they were using to confirm cases when they haven't even isolated it yet. Right? Plus, they have to purify it. So that's a whole. I'm actually going to have John Rappaport on very soon. I'm going to interview him this weekend so we can really talk about these tests and how they're tested and how they confirm things, which I still, anytime I hear they have a confirmed case, I'm like, that's bullshit. Because they can't even, there's no way of determining for certain if a person has the coronavirus or not. The way that they test, they don't look for a virus under a microscope, whether it's in your blood or they test for proteins. And like I keep saying, there's certain things that you can do or have that can make you test positive for these proteins. So it's not like they're looking to test you. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. So I'm just going to have John Rappaport on to explain this, all right, in more detail. Personally, I would not take the test, right? And I know there are going to be people that are like, you're irresponsible. You're telling people not to take the test. Well, you know what? People can do what the hell they want. They're grown-ass people. They can make their own decisions. I'm saying what I personally will not do because I don't see why I should take a test for something that is not definitive. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. And then they can use that against you to make you take drugs or vaccines or whatever they want, or brand you or put you in a system. Hell no. Hell no. Anyway. So, that's the main thing, because they can say they have all these confirmed cases, then they can get people to take the test, and then they test positive. So then that's how they can manipulate the data, and they can hike the numbers up, right? Another thing that's interesting, first of all, most of the cases were recorded in Washington, D.C., in a nursing home where people were sent to die who were already dying. So it was like 25% of the cases was there, and it was in the elderly, right? So then the elderly, now you have they're saying, oh, it's just mainly affecting the elderly. So people are criticizing that. So they're like, okay, well, what virus just affects the elderly mostly, right? And how come young people aren't getting it? Now, because they're being criticized by reporting that, now they're coming out with cases. They're like, oh no, now it's affecting young people. Now it's affecting people under 30, when it was just like, it doesn't make sense, because if it was a virus that was highly contagious, it would have been affecting people of all ages from the very beginning, right? How come it just like was found in elderly people and it wasn't affecting people? Now people are like, oh, you know, they're criticizing that. Now they're spinning the story, and they're saying, oh, well, now it's you know, people are asymptomatic and they're carriers. Really? I just don't believe you. I don't believe you. You know why I don't believe you? Because I also study medical history, and it's a pattern. And once you understand these outbreaks, they're using the same script, you guys. I swear they are. They're using the same script. They want to scare you with the Spanish flu. You know, back then they name all kinds of outbreaks. They name them after countries and stuff. Or now they use animals, right? It was like the Spanish flu, and I think they had different types of flus, you know, associated with different countries or different areas of the world. Now it's animals, the swine flu, coronavirus came from a bat. You know, it's like, come on, man. Like, come on. You know, did you guys know that the 1918 flu epidemic, there were actually people that were given experimental vaccines before that, and with the same group of people that got the vaccines, that got the flu. So I would suggest, maybe if you want to do a little research into medical history, that you actually, anytime there's an outbreak, you should see if there is also an incidence of either a vaccination campaign that happened just before that, or what do you call it? Some kind of chemical spill, or chemicals that a new chemical that was introduced into the environment. You know, I did a video on polio, and I know I have to say this. I'm not saying that people weren't paralyzed or weren't sick. So if you knew somebody that had polio, I'm not saying that they were lying or making it up. I believe them. But what I am saying is, during that time in history, there was also a high usage of DDT, which coincided with the spike in paralytic polio cases, and there's data to back that up. And then, you know, when it was taken out, the cases went down, and there was a lady named Elizabeth Kinney who was actually curing people of polio by doing detox therapy, which is something that you do when you're poisoned. When poison enters your skin, you detox, and she was having an 80% success rate. Whereas, you know, but they totally, you know, there's documentation of her being alive. The President Roosevelt knew about her, but they just ignored her. You know, I mean, she had people that went to her, but I mean, as far as that, they wanted the vaccine to become more, you know, more prevalent than her methods, right? And the vaccine doesn't even cure anything. It cures, it's a preventative. So people that have polio that got a vaccine, you know, I mean, if you have polio, that was it. There was no cure for you. So they tried to promote the vaccine to get, you know, as a preventative. So they scared, you know, they saw the people that were paralyzed, and then like, oh no, I don't want that to happen, so I better get this vaccine so it doesn't happen to me. And guess what, y'all? The Qatar incident happened where 40,000 people got cases of polio from the vaccine. This is well documented too. This is well documented, right? And then in the 70s, Jonas Salk is on an interview. It's in the movie I made about polio, talking about how you can get polio from the vaccine. So he admits it years later, right? When they're out of the clear, years later, can't be sued, everything's done, all the people are paralyzed and messed up from the vaccine, right? There's another thing you might want to look into. It's called the 1976 swine flu epidemic, where they had this big scare, and they scared people into getting a vaccine, and people died and became paralyzed. Wow. Seems like some, really close to the polio epidemic. Then you have the H1N1 scare. People got panicked and scared, and they had a vaccine for that too. And guess what? They just paid out 60 million pounds for people that got the narcolepsy from the H1N1 swine flu vaccine. So I think I have a really, really good reason. I mean, those are just a few examples. I can go on and on. Those are just 3 big examples, all right? And of how something was hyped up, scared people, and they got injured as a result. Now it's affecting our economy, right? Because people don't understand the testing methods, because for some reason, and it's really disappointing. I've had to actually stop following some people that are friends of mine on Facebook. We're still friends on Facebook, but I can't follow them because I'll see their posts and I'm tempted to comment, and then that's just like minutes out of my day, and I'm very busy and my time is very valuable that I spend trying to explain all of this to them. But yet, they know the media lies. They know this. They say this all the time, but yet they believe them now. They believe them now, right? Same people, I see that, when the measles outbreak occurred, right, in New York, supposedly the alleged measles outbreak, where people were just dying in the streets of measles, and but there were so many people dying that they couldn't find a real picture of a person dying with measles, so they had to Photoshop one. But you believe the media, okay? You believe the media. You believe that that all of our not all, but a huge portion of our senators and people in government are corrupt all around the world, but you don't believe that they would get together and plan something to crash the economy? You don't believe that? I don't really know what to say. I just think that, this is what I have to say. People are ignorant, and I'm not saying people are stupid. I just think that you don't know. I didn't know. I'm a case where I just had to, I had a desire to research this stuff and know this stuff, and because I do, I feel empowered. And I'm trying to turn other people on to it too, so they feel empowered, right? But I'm not, so I realize just people don't know. There's so much to learn. There's so much we don't know. I don't know everything. I know, I say some things. Oh my God, I touched my face. I know I say some things, and there are people that go off of me in the comments of like, you need to learn about this. Okay, maybe I do. I know I don't know everything, okay? I know about this. I know what I'm talking about now. So, but you have that, and you have, it's interesting how the media and how the health authorities claim to care about our health, but they don't care about all the kids that are becoming autistic and maimed from vaccines. It's way higher than people that are getting coronavirus, I'll tell you that. The people that are dying from the flu, the fact that the medical errors are the 3rd leading cause of death, but yet they care about our health today, now? Really? They care about, they're doing this because they care so much about us? Really? Wow, okay. Okay, if you want to believe that. I don't, but I mean, if you want to believe that. And I had somebody saying that they had a couple of family members that were diagnosed with it in the comment section, and I wrote her a very long reply. And I'm not saying that they're making it up. So I believe you. I don't think that they're not. I believe that they're sick. So, but what I'm saying is, they need to challenge the test, and they need to, like, anybody that were to get diagnosed with the coronavirus, you guys can challenge it. You should look into the test so you can challenge it, because it's not fair to you. It's not fair to you, right? And what they're doing now too, they are, if you have pneumonia but you test positive for the coronavirus, they're going to put down that you died of the coronavirus. You see how they can manipulate data like that? So if anybody does say that in the comment sections that they were diagnosed and tested, please don't harass them, and please don't call them a liar. I don't think that they're a liar. I'm just saying that I hope you guys understand when I'm saying how they can manipulate the data and manipulate the tests. And then they're doing this optic where they have these people with these huge bubbles over the face. It looks more dramatic, right? It looks more scary, creates more panic. But it's just like a ventilator or those oxygen tubes that they put on you. It's the same purpose. It serves the same purpose. But now they have this thing. It looks all scary. People are like, oh my God, it's kind of like the iron lung, right? The iron lung in the 50s when people had polio, that was just it's a ventilator today. It's the same thing, right? So people make a joke, I don't see all your lungs. Well, yeah, because they're called they're ventilators. You know, same thing with the bubbles, right? But it looks scarier. Oh my God, who wants a big ass plastic bubble on their face, right? So I saw this other post where somebody was saying that, oh, well, you know, people that are comparing this to, you know, I just know somebody in my family that died of the coronavirus, and people that are comparing this to the flu need to shut the fuck up. And I'm just like, I'm not going to shut the fuck up, because they want the conversation to stop. You know, they want people to come out too. That's another thing. So people will they'll have a false positive for the test when maybe they most likely had another illness, okay? And then, but they get the test and they test positive. So then, you know, maybe they die of that. And then people say, oh, well, my relative died, or I've tested positive. So it's not a hoax. Well, I'm still going to talk about the test being faulty, because this is how they get people, right? And then when somebody else comes out and they say that, then people get quiet because they don't want to look insensitive, or they don't want to look like a jerk. But they're not going to talk about other anomalies in the story that they see wrong. But I'm not going to shut up, because I see the pattern. I see the pattern, and I'm going to keep talking, because there are people that have the same thoughts as I do, and they're afraid to talk about it. But there's still room. You can still have compassion for the people that say that they tested positive, and also talk about the numbers and how there are many other things that people die of every day, like, you know, hunger, like, you know, starvation, which is the same thing, but, you know, like flu, diarrhea, you know, obesity kills more people die of suicide, you know. So I mean, you really have to question why people are making this a bigger thing than it is. And then they're not highlighting the cases of the people that are recovering. You know, there's most of the people that are getting it are recovering, and they're fine, okay? And the symptoms are like a flu. I mean, it's pretty much a flu. It looks like the flu. I'm going to say it's the flu, okay? But yeah, people don't want to, like, they're afraid to speak up because they don't want to be insensitive. But you know what? You know, it's also insensitive because for those people, don't you want them to know the truth? I think they should be honored by speaking the truth about what's going on, instead of buying into the lie and letting, you know, our freedoms are being taken away as we speak because of fear, because of ignorance, because of people, you know, it's not even like fear of the virus, it's social fear that they've been driven into people, that they don't want to stand out. And those people that kind of know better, you know, I understand if you have a job at stake, because I'm almost in that position too, you know, like, I understand. And if you have a family to feed, I understand. But if it's just your ego and you think that your friends are going to think you're weird and that's all you have to lose, then shame on you. Get over yourself. Shame on you. You need to start talking about what you are observing and what you think, right? That's the wonderful thing about the internet, that, you know, people can speak their minds. Anybody can do it. And then you have those snarky people that are like, well, anybody can just make a video. Yeah, anybody can just make a video. That's great. I love it. I think it's a beautiful thing, because back then, you know, when they were doing all these other scams, you know, these disease scams, people didn't have the internet and they couldn't call their bullshit. So now we can make a video camera on our phone and we can upload it to this magical place where we can broadcast it, and it can go, you know, it can go viral. Anyone in the world can see it. So maybe we should take advantage of that. Like I'm taking advantage of that. I think that people need to have conversations about this. And that's another thing. Why aren't people allowed to have conversations about this? Why are they taking special efforts? You know, they've had meetings with the tech companies talking about how to stop quote unquote misinformation, which I call truth, about the coronavirus. I think they're different theories. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I think that all these theories should be allowed to be talked about so we can figure the problem out. Why are they trying to suppress people that say that they have, like, you know, vitamin C and colloidal silver can help cure this? Don't you want solutions, right? Don't you want solutions? Why is the only solution what, you know, the pharmaceutical industry, the government tells us? So, like, red flags should be going up there, right? Because, it's because we'll be independent, and we won't be dependent on them. and we won't make them money for any cure that they propose to bring out, right? And then maybe people will see the ridiculousness of this and see how our freedoms have been taken away and see how the economy has been purposely crashed for whatever benefit, you know? So I don't know. I'm talking to people. I think most people think that there's something else going on. And I talk to some people and they're just like, oh my God, we have to be safe. We're all going to die. I don't know. Those people are just gone. I mean, like, this is what happens when people are in fear, man. Like, you know, when people are petrified, if you're in an immediate state of danger, people forget to talk. People forget to walk. People lose their bladder functions. Okay? So even in this era where, you know, maybe it's not an immediate fear where, you know, maybe somebody has a gun pointed at you or something like that, but people are still afraid of death and dying horribly. So, you know, even the most critical thinking smart people are going to just give into the fear, and their critical thinking skills are going to shut off, and they're just going to obey. They're just going to go obey, and they don't want to hear anybody else that's critical of what's going on, because, you know, they've been trained to do that, and they just go back to what they've been trained to do as opposed to using their head. And it's very creepy. It's very creepy. It's very creepy to see some anti-vaxxers I know falling for this too. It's very creepy, and I'm ashamed of you. I hope that you like wake up. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It seems like I was gonna say how do I say? It seems like I was gonna say something else, but God, I hate when I'm on a roll and then I'm like, I forget what I'm gonna say. But, well, anyway, you know what? This video is getting too long, so if I forget to say something, then I will probably make another video about it later. But anyway, all right, guys, that's it. All right, talk to you later. Peace, love, bye-bye.